This is a new segment of Interviewing Excellence, the long-awaited series on my channel where I interview people that I believe are excellent at something. This is Jim Belleau. He's a very important person in my life. I've wanted to have him on this channel ever since I first started it, and I'm now finally getting around to it. So, why did you agree to this interview?
That's a good question. Because I trust you. Yeah, that's nice. I used to be an interviewer. I used to be a professional videographer, which is why I work well with color in the framing industry. But yeah, there's going to be a joining in an interview, and that's easy with you.
Aw,
so
that's really nice. So, I understand that you're a business owner. How did you get that started?
I really was just following what was in front of me that felt the best. After getting a degree in cinematography and working in the field for 3 years, I left it because it wasn't appropriate for me. So I was free to leave my life at age 25, basically. 26, I was free to do anything I wanted. And at the time, I was just fed up with not being able to do what I wanted to do, because back then, in the early 80s, cameras were $50,000. So I was working as a film technician, not a filmmaker, and that was frustrating.
Was that scary for you to make that change at 25, to just drop everything you knew?
No, it wasn't, because I was really fed up with Boston. And then I met a woman at a wedding that I was shooting, and she ended up offering me to come out and visit. It was a matter of what was the best feeling thing in front of me at the time to do. And thinking about this interview, what came up for me was the value of aim. What I was doing at that time was, when I moved here, I made it my aim to stay here. I made it my North Star. So even the woman I was living with rather quickly after getting here, I made every decision based on my aim. I am not going to sacrifice work and the ability to make it here because you're somehow irritated by that. That was what came to mind thinking about speaking to people in their third and fourth decades.
Well, one of the first things that you talked to me about when I first met you was what decade that I was in and the significance of that.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that right now?
Yes. Do you think a baked potato is smarter than a raw potato?
No.
Actually, it is.
Okay. It's been in the oven.
Right. It's been cooked.
Okay. Yes.
So what I'm saying is, when you experience something, you have a theory about it, but when you experience it, it actually transforms it into understanding. So you have thoughts about things, but then you have an experience, and then it transforms your understanding. You're actually standing on a different plateau of understanding, and if you're able to do that without carrying a lot of grievances, then the plateau just gets better and better. And that's what I'm experiencing. That's why I'm just pleased all the time, every day. I'm very joyful in a stable way. You gain wisdom by simply having experiences, especially if you get what it's trying to give you. It's a fun ride if you can find the handle for that.
So tell me about the job that you do.
Yes, I'm a picture framer, and so basically what I do is I work with color. So if you had anything you wanted framed, anything two-dimensional, like a photo, a piece of artwork, we would just lay it on this table, and there's frames behind us. And what I do is I have like a nice Zen approach at this point, because I just look at how much warm color and how much cold color is there. The warm end of the spectrum is deep, deep red, and then you go to the middle of the spectrum, which is green, and then you go to the other end, which are cold colors going into blue. So yeah, so that's a general way to look at it, but it's actually pretty magical, because I get to complete the presentation of the thing, and that's an honor in a certain way. So I'm an artisan versus an artist.
At a certain point in your life, just a few years ago, you decided that you wanted to mentor young people. Why?
Because they're much more responsive than older people. No, actually, that's it. I am a spiritual facilitator, and I specialized for many years in A Course in Miracles. It's an esoteric text that's quite interesting, and it's rather thick. And so actually for 9 years I ran an adult group from 2010 till the pandemic. I ran an adult group on a weekly basis. So we had in-person meetings, 90 minutes a week, and we had a real strong group. It was marvelous, but the only way to take it to the next level was to increase the amount of wonder and active posture. So the people who were older would just receive and live their lives. But it didn't seem to affect or increase their sense of wonder. And that's what I work with. That's what was released in me. So I live by a feeling and a sense of wonder every day that is serving me very well. And so when I go to people who are between 20 and 25, they're all in. You know, it's like, yeah, life, they don't have any yet.
It's intense for us.
Yes, it is. I think the half a decade between 20 and 25 was one of the hardest in my life. Yeah.
And life is always intense, but I feel like when it's newer, you're more aware of how intense it is. And unless you keep reminding yourself how important it is to live your life effectively and keep giving, you lose that. And I admire you because you've never lost it, and you will never lose it.
Yes, no one has any power over me. You can't manifest in my life unless I let you. And I call it the cycle of disappointment. You come into your early 20s just raring to go, and everything's firing because you're allowing it to fire. We tend to take it too seriously. And that affects in colors, so you have an expert in color, colors our thinking and changes our beliefs. And then we now believe more deeply in disappointment. And thus, the universe will cough up evidence of that. And when that happens a second time, also known as your 30s, it's the cycle of disappointment. You believe even more deeply in disappointment because you've got even more evidence from your experience.
So how did you do it?
There's something in there called pure awareness that can witness everything. And that's what's stable, that's what's fully developed, that's what doesn't need to evolve, and that's always there waiting to resurface perfectly as soon as the proper amount of healing is done. If you don't mind not needing to be right, I'm not saying being wrong, I'm saying just not needing to be right, then bingo, you got the Holy Grail.
So you mentor 4 people, 2 girls and 2 boys. I'm lucky enough to be one of them, and we're kind of all around the same age. I was gonna ask you why you picked people around the same age, but you seem to have already answered that. That's interesting, but why did you pick us specifically?
I didn't. You see, I'm good at giving, as you know. That's what a mentor does, but that means I'm also good at receiving. You're the ones that came. It just came right to me, all of you. And that's how you work when life is in harmony. It actually literally will take care of you. It's not neutral. Life is not neutral. It's very loving. And so I just trusted that you guys were the right ones as you came in, and there's actually more than you described.
No way, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay, that's
yes.
Great.
But that's how it works. I just trust what flows into my experience.
And that's true. I met you because I came in one day looking for a job, and you were like, I will not hire you, but I will be your life mentor.
No.
And I was like, well, please pay me, but Okay, I guess I'll take this too.
It wasn't quite that quick, but
it took a little longer. Well, it took a long time for me to trust you. It took about a year. I think a lot of that is because as young people, sometimes we end up looking for role model figures, and they end up giving us reasons not to trust them.
Yeah.
And what I found with you, even though it took me an entire year to really trust you, is that now that I know you, I have so much trust in you. I know that I could come to you and you never want to make our correspondence or any of your correspondences with the people that you mentor anything but giving to them and receiving the joy of being able to help a younger person. And I've always respected you for that. You've always come to me genuinely. I can come to this shop crying, and I have many times, and I could stay here and you could just sit with me in it and help me through it, and I leave feeling more hopeful every time.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's the work, actually. What if you've noticed, what I've managed to slip in there as a lesson through time is that I want to try to get you to salvage your state of mind every time it dips, every time it wobbles. We just come back to salvaging the state of mind, and without figuring out why. See, that's the thing, you can bypass this reactive self, and so that's what salvation actually means. The thing I give that most adults don't, if any, is to don't judge. And you pick up on that. Don't judge. And that, if you're in this field of psychology or the health professions at all, you don't judge. The other person will know it on a quantum level. And that's the gift. That's the gift I give. I have experienced the most spectacular states of mind I've ever experienced in my life by doing this work with this group of fewer than a dozen people. It's incredible. Incredible.
Well, that's great, and it's an honor. I feel very secure in the position I am, kind of being a grown-up for the first time in my life because I have you to go to.
Yeah, having that stable, something stable emotionally in your life is very important.
Yes.
I didn't have that when I was 20 to 24. My father died when I was 17. And my mother's reaction to that was to become an alcoholic. So I was actually orphaned in an odd way when I was 17. So I didn't have that. That's the other thing about working with your age group. You'll take the ideas and run with them. You listen.
Yes.
You trust the ideas. And you don't say, well, I like this and I don't like that. You really will work it. You really will work it. You're open-minded still. And if you can see what's hard about being 25, 26, 29, 30, 31, you start seeing your friends suffer.
Yes.
Even more so now than when I was that age. And that's hard.
They start to grow up in a bad way.
Yes, if you can clip that cycle of disappointment before you're 30, you can just not believe in your own reaction. It leaves open this field. The Persian poet Rumi calls it a field. There's a line, out beyond right and wrong, there is a field. I will meet you there. That's Sufi poetry.
Now, do you think, because I do have some older viewers as well, do you think that there's still hope for them?
Yes. Actually, that's why our group was older, because what happens is, as people, ordinarily speaking, reach their 40s and 50s, the cycle of disappointment is so excruciating. And it's repeating in shorter and shorter cycles that they throw in the towel. They say, enough, there's got to be a better way. If you're in a body and you're breathing, there's nothing under the sun that can't be healed. And everyone's inner well-being is perfectly intact.
Listen to this guy right now.
Yes.
Listen to what he's saying right now. That's so true.
Put that on the refrigerator.
So true.
But you see, you've lived it. See, you're more of a baked potato now. Start the baked potato movement.
Yeah, well, I was out here insulting baked potatoes and I'm just insulting myself. I like that metaphor. I like it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, the baked potato.
See, you're smarter than when I met you.
Am I really?
No. I'm just...
Am I dumber?
No. You're flourishing and blossoming.
Yeah.
And I just happen to have the water can at the right
Oh.
moment.
Well, what an honor.
That's
I feel
all
like
it
that's the best kind of mentorship. You've helped me get there, but you know that the people you're helping are the ones who did the work.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not the one that had to forgive
Mm-hmm.
this or that. No specifics.
Ooh.
Hey, we all have to forgive every day, all of us. Every day, it's no matter what decade you are. I did run a Course in Miracles group for 9 years, and nobody ever ran out of things to forgive, ever. So
You never do.
So you have to develop the skill set to work with it in harmony with it, rather than it just always being a conflict. Because if you see life as conflictual, it will definitely get worse and more conflictual as you go.
I guess you're right. There's such a common thing, especially, I'm so devoted to improving myself. Sometimes I boil my entire existence down to, did I cross this action off my list? Did I cross this action? And I need everything to be crossed off. And I'm only at peace when everything is crossed off.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the only time everything will be crossed off is when you're dead.
Yes. Yeah, it's a good point.
So I'm living to die.
No, that's a good point. Someone said, as a sports figure or something, life is messy, and it's going to be just as messy on the day you die as it is right now. There's going to be untied up things. There's going to be, and it doesn't really matter.
So I understand you're a writer. How can my audience support your work?
Think well of me in your minds for now.
When he releases something, I'll say it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. I don't have anything released yet, but I have 2 books going to be published soon. One probably by the end of this year, and one next year. So we'll keep you posted on that.
Is there hope for this world, Jim?
Oh yes. Oh yes. You guys are in a good position. Listen. I remember the day John F. Kennedy was shot, not Robert in 1968. I remember the day John F. Kennedy was shot.
There's a picture of John F. Kennedy and,
And Robert
right up there.
Yes,
I'll flash it on the screen now.
What you're going to see, let me do it in JFK's voice, no.
Oh, please no.
But what you guys are going to see is going to be magnificent, because what's occurring is an emergence. All of this turmoil is actually an emergence going on, and I'm super excited because it will happen pretty rapidly. It's getting a real grip, and it's going to be tumultuous for a while, but each decade is going to get better and better, and we're still only young in the 20s. I think we could have a really good decade through the 20s. I do, actually. But yes, there is hope. The world looks very scary right now, but it isn't. If you want to change your belief to that, it isn't. And then the world may just cough up evidence of that. To offer a little willingness would be a powerful act if the mind that was offering it were infinite and enormous. What if the term without was actually unnecessary to describe the world of God's children? What if everything usually thought of as the outer world was actually inside our mind? Clear through to the stars above, all happening inside my infinite mind. Then what I changed my mind about would also change the experienced perception in my mind. And if it were all holographic to begin with, maybe, just maybe, the image I seem to be witnessing will change all by itself, and in so doing reveal its essence, its grandeur, its malleability, its lack of power without my consent, its neutrality, that little willingness. It's the secret. It really is the secret. Any day now. Any day now. Whew.
I think that's a good place to end.
Yes.
Wow. That was great, Jim.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you all. It's a pleasure. Yeah.